Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Kudrat. I am your Sutradhar slash MC slash compare for this session and welcoming you all. It's like preaching to the choir, but okay, fine. Um, so yeah, so over the past few weeks, 2 weeks to be precise, I've received a lot of poems from you all poets, and based on that, I've come up with an order which has been shared with you all. And to me it is like a story, and as the session unfolds we'll all see that there is a story through the poems that will be recited, and I just hope you all catch on to that story and sort of just um, feel the feeling. And yeah, without much ado, the first poet for the session is Mr. Narayan Rajan, batch of 1965, Vindhya House. And Mr. Rajan has a very interesting poem for us. The title is Narad. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say. So the the stage, the screen is all yours, Mr. Narayan
Thank,
Rajan.
thank, uh, thank you, Kudrat. Okay, before I start, I have to give you a little bit of a background on this. And so I'm in Seattle. And so basically, this was written for a Seattle audience to begin with. Okay. Uh, Also, there's another difference, and that is that North Indians say Narad and South Indians say Narada. Right. That's one of the other things to know. The third difference is that there are a couple of footnotes that basically says, which may or may not be relevant. And one is that Ramanathan literally is literally equivalent to Raman, Lord, Rama. And there is a word called Abhivade, which is in Sanskrit, which means introducing yourself to elders. So basically, a brahmachari, after the Janeyu or Upanenam, introduces himself to elders by saying the Abhivade and prostrating himself in front of the elder. And it is a complete prostration. I mean, you got to go down. So, for instance, that explains why South Indian marriages tend to be very painful because the groom has to prostrate himself to all the elders. Having said that, so here's the poem. So I'm going to read it in the South Indian fashion because basically, I mean, that's where I am from, right? Narada. In Mount Rainier National Park in Washington State is a waterfall that everyone stops by to see, for it is on the park highway to paradise. The Paradise River springs off a cliff in glee. After a slide and a 17-foot plunge into a small pool, a gathering of skirts, a lunge, a 75-foot wide deluge, 159 feet, horsetail swish into a canyon, water cold, clear, pure. Hence, Narada in Sanskrit. Narada, sage chosen by Arthur Knight to memorialize the Tacoma Theosophical Society Lodge. Narada, messenger of the Devas, Hindu poet, gods. Narada, Devarishi, sage wanderer through all realms. Narada, Veena, Khattal, music, entrance heralds. Narada, instigator of rebellious exploits. The Rishi sage is not the god's carrier pigeon. The Khattal, Veena, prelude attract attention, wonder, joy, consternation, greet, saintly apparition. A Cheshire cat prone to embroider information. The message sent is sometimes erroneous. For the gods, not having GPS, make mistakes. Tell Shivakashi Chandrasekhar Raman to mend his ways. Shivakashi firecrackers have blown Raman to smithereens. As an aside, Shivakashi is historically the town in Tamil Nadu where crackers have been made for a long time. Admit failure, returned with tail between legs, not Narada. Googling Chandrasekhar results, a Sir C.V. Raman, S. Chandrasekhar, Nobel laureates, deceased. A Chandrasekhar Ramanathan, physics, faculty, Dartmouth, a teacher inspired, fulfilled. No mending there. Room to be musically inspired by Narada? No. Narada, persistent, proceeded, Googled Raman. The score or more paraded included the noteworthy and the villainous. No reform material. Mumbai's most notorious serial killer, Raman Raghav, incapable of mending ways. To find an impressionable one in Bangalore streets he roamed. Young voices rose in a Sanskrit song, Varavina Mridupani, praising a Veena bearing goddess. Narada materialized, his Veena sweetly replying, invited him, his hands extend in children blessing. Raman Raghav, teacher's son, Abhivadi performs. One second. I printed it separately, just this. All right. Prostrating before Narada. Narada's Veena plays a short ditty. Up springs the youth, bowing. Eureka, a light in my mind is glowing. The solution to the rocket problem is clear. Thus Narada, wanderer, renounced here, roams all the realms to boldly endeavor to inspire, to truly be the God's messenger. All right. Questions?
Anybody has any comments or questions?
Yeah, I'll ask one. Narad's instrument was?
There are two. So one is the veena, which is always carrying, and the other one is the khattal. The khattal is like it's got basically two.
That's
It's a very different thing from the normal.
Pluck, pluck, pluck. It goes like this.
The veena which you say he carries, isn't it different from
the normal veena that one sees otherwise?
No, see,
his veena is more like an ektara.
Yes, Pankaj.
No, it's a four string. Now four string. It's actually a four string. So if you Google it, you'll see basically it's got four strings. Okay, so four strings and tightened mets. So it's a full scale veena. It's not an ektara.
And he's the original Google, I think.
What?
Yeah, the original.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because what it says in the Wikipedia we want is that basically he is considered to have knowledge in all the subjects. Okay, in all the subjects and knowledgeable about everything, which is why he can inspire people. I mean, typically young people. All right.
And he's everywhere where the action is.
Right. Yeah, because see, he can go from all realms. So he can go from all realms. So he can go across time. He can, sort of go across place.
Like our today's Sutradhar, he's the Sutradhar of all the gods.
Yeah, and
that's a good one.
One other thing you one other thing you have to note is that the South Indian naming convention. So that's basically like when you say Chandrasekhar, Venkatram, Shivagashi, Chandrasekhar Raman. Basically, the naming convention is that the first name is the name of the place or the house in which you're born, and the second name is your father's name, the third name is your name, as opposed to Hindi name.
What's your name?
My name used to be Narayana Swami Rajan. Okay, so that's why in school I said put it as N Rajan, because so when I came to America, I found that people there was only one person that could say Narayan Swami. Okay, and that was my principal investigator in Stanford. Okay, and he could say it because he was British. All right. So, and my ex-wife at that time, she met one of the, you know, the people I worked with, and they said something, and she said, "Come on, this pronouncing it all wrong." And I said, "Aren't you going to correct them?" I said, "Why should I correct them? They're paying me, aren't they?" You know. So
Yeah.
when I became a citizen, I decided to cut it to Narayan, just so that
Hmm.
it would, you know, basically be with. I mean, Narayan is as long as Richard, so that's why I chopped it. You know. And I go by Raj because Narayan is not my name; it's my father's name, right? So, my name is Rajan. So,
Yeah. Anybody else has any other comments
Well,
or
much
anything to
appreciated.
add?
thank you very much. Always have trouble turning
Thank
over
you
the
so
pages
much,
at the end.
Mr. Narayan Rajan. Now we are moving on to the second poet for the night, Mr. Vinay Pandey. He's been the chem teacher at Sanar from 89 to 97, housemaster for Vindhya House, 96 to 97, and of course the headmaster from 2016 to 2019. Now, Mr. Vinay Pandey will be presenting a poem which is about his time as a kid and the stressful times the current generation faces. So let us all welcome Mr. Vinay Pandey to the floor.
Thank you, Kudrat.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone, once again.
Evening.
I always maintain this, and I'm going to repeat that again. I am an accidental poet, and I always thank Justice Bhalla, because the first time he asked me to write a composition and I said I can't, he said, forget about rhyming lines, just put down your thoughts into paper and that becomes the poem. So my composition today is again my thoughts, my views. ये जो मेरे विचार जो आज आप सबके साथ मैं साझा करने जा रहा हूं, ये एक, मैं इसको कंपैरिजन नहीं कहूंगा कि हमारी जिंदगी कैसी थी और आजकल की जो एक जनरेशन है, पीढ़ी है, उसकी जिंदगी कैसी है. कुछ पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव्स हमारे टाइम में थे, कुछ पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव्स अभी हैं, पर कुछ चिंता के विषय हैं जिनके बारे में आज मैं आप सब लोगों के साथ कुछ बातें करूंगा. तो मेरी कविता का शीर्षक है ये कहां आ गए हम. ये कहां आ गए हम, जिंदगी जीने का तो तरीका ही बदल गया, या यूं कहूं कि जिंदगी को समझने का नजरिया ही बदल गया. एक समय वो भी था जब घर वाले, नाते, रिश्तेदार हमारी पहचान के आधार थे, और अब हाल ये है कि आधार ही हमारी पहचान है. दादा दादी, नाना नानी से किस्से कहानियां सुनकर हमने सीखी थी दुनियादारी, और अब आलम ये है कि दादा दादी, नाना नानी रह गए हैं महज किस्से बनकर. किंतु कितना रोमांचक और सीधा साधा था हमारा बचपन. पढ़ाई पर जोर था, पर सिर्फ इतना कि कम से कम गुड सेकंड डिवीजन आ जाए. आजकल तो 95% भी काफी नहीं किसी के चेहरे पर मुस्कान तक लाने के लिए. हमारे मां बाप शाम को देर से घर आने पर ही होते थे खफा. नहीं कभी हंगामा बरपा जब हम फूटे हुए घुटने या छिली हुई कोहनियां लेके घर में घुसते थे. इंतहा तो तब होती थी जब 2-4 थप्पड़ गाल पर रसीद कर दिए जाते थे. जख्म से रिसते हुए खून को देखकर नहीं जनाब, बल्कि इसलिए क्योंकि साइकिल का पैडल जो टूट गया था हमारी लापरवाही से. चिंता होती है आजकल की पीढ़ी पर पड़ते हुए दबाव को देखकर. पैदा होते ही शुरू हो जाता है हर क्षेत्र में सर्वप्रथम आने का दबाव. घर में माँ बाप की अक्सर निरर्थक व असंगत अपेक्षाओं का दबाव, स्कूल में टीचर्स की गगनचुंबी उम्मीदों का दबाव, जीवन के हर मोड़, हर कदम और हर प्रयास में समाज की स्वीकृति या अस्वीकृति का दबाव, और तो और सोशल मीडिया में लाइक्स न मिलने और फोमो का दबाव, और नतीजा असंतोष, तनाव और अवसाद यानी डिप्रेशन। आज की पीढ़ी का बच्चा हमसे कहीं ज्यादा जागरूक और महत्वाकांक्षी भले ही हो, लेकिन प्रतिकूल परिस्थितियों से जूझने के लिए जरूरी भावनात्मक स्थिरता तो इस पीढ़ी में सेंसेक्स की तरह गिरती ही जा रही है। आखिर कौन है इसका जिम्मेदार, ये पीढ़ी या फिर हमारी पीढ़ी? बच्चा तो आखिर वही सीखता है जो वो सुनता है, देखता है और महसूस करता है अपने इर्द गिर्द। हेलीकॉप्टर पेरेंट्स, ड्रोन पेरेंट्स, लॉन मोवर पेरेंट्स या फिर जेलीफिश पेरेंट्स? पूछे उपेंद्र, क्या ये जिम्मेदार नहीं इस चिंताजनक स्थिति के? जरूरत तो इस बात की है कि हमारी पीढ़ी इन परिस्थितियों को समझे और उनमें सुधार करे। अन्यथा जब आज की ये पीढ़ी हमारी अवस्था में पहुंचेगी तो जरूर बोलेगी, ये कहां आ गए हम, और तब स्थिति अधिक भयावह होगी। धन्यवाद।
That was so good.
That was very good. Very,
I
very
think we
well.
all can relate to
Thank
Sir's
you.
poem. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
very
often,
thought-provoking.
I often wonder that is my generation responsible for all the misdeeds that we've done to the world? Because now people are more aware. Our time, we were just busy making plastic and doing.
Vinay, there's no need to wonder. We are responsible.
We are responsible. You're right, Raju. We are.
And I have.
It's
So
excellent.
thank you very
Excellent.
much for the poem, Mr. Vinay. I have two grandchildren. So I have एक पोती है 12 साल की और एक पोता है 8 साल के. So and but here's the difference though. See, when we were kids, I'm sure basically you got slapped and kicked left and right, right? And now it's basically you need to make better decisions. कहते हैं. You need to make better decisions and stuff. So there's a big difference in parenting, and
It's better. The parenting is better now because I think we become more aware of a child's right to be a citizen of this world and not some worm crawling around whom you can slap whenever you feel like, just because they've been naughty.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I like the term. I like the term helicopter parent.
Very.
You should not like that term. It is not a good term.
I heard this term first time from the headmaster in P-State in I think 2016-17. My son had gone for the entrance exam.
Right.
And I like the term helicopter parent. I use it quite often in my lingo here.
No, but HP, since then, the drone parents have become more important because helicopter can only hover at a place, right?
Yes.
Drone can go anywhere.
Yeah. Drone has more precision and accuracy.
So the more interfering you are, the more drone parent you are.
CCTV parents.
So I think there's two kinds of parenting happening here, and there's also this thing that every fourth generation evolves. So there's one which will explore, there's another one which will take it to heights, there's the third one which will, try to preserve it, and the fourth one where the downfall will happen for the next cycle to start. So perhaps that's how it functions if we look at it. I mean, this is not something I'm saying. This is coming from those Vedic texts. But having said that, I think even now it's a very personalized thing. There are, even now you have parents who are abusive and you have parents who know how to take care of their kids. But the fine line of difference also comes with the fact that you have institutionalization by state, which is not allowing for the parent to actually work intimately with the child. So maybe a little bit of, what we had in Sana, if it was continued, It would have helped the kids from getting into a space where, when life gets rough, you don't know what to do. So when you experience a little bit of roughness, you know how to work with it. And
I kind of disagree there, see, because just getting beaten doesn't do you any teach you anything better.
Not saying beat, sir. I'm saying that, so even even now expressing something, this is, I'm going to quote America because my brother lives there and he has a kid. Now the kid questions every single thing the parent is doing. And the fact is, we are all human. We are bound to fail. We are not perfect. But at the same time, how do you get people to first, come into a space, like even for dogs, there is a training to help them understand a certain thing. It's not like you don't love your dog or whatever, and you're not going to hit him. But the whole idea is a little bit of discipline is required.
Listen, when we people were in our childhood, if our parents were rough with us, we didn't give it any thought. It never left any trauma.
And the thing is, you get oversensitive then. I mean, I have people I've seen at work who are very young and they will not take even 1 ounce of struggle. For the first thing they do is they don't even wait for being fired. They just get off the job and say, okay, we're going on a holiday. But that's not how life works,
Can I just come in here for a minute?
Yeah.
Please do.
Vinay Pandey said about children coming home at late. Now they just don't come home. Is that right? Most parents have this problem. And then there's another thing. I'll take a contrary view also at the same time. Every generation feels that after me the deluge, but every generation manages somehow.
True.
Yeah.
Something or the other is there for sure.
So next time, Mr. Pandey, this kahan aage, hum just take it forward and say wahi aage jahan hum pehle the.
So that's why I said this generation is going to say the same thing later.
Yeah.
Everybody in his own way, or depending on his own environment, does the same thing, but it all looks different. It's actually the same.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it.
Very true.
Possibly. I mean, even different situations, but the circumstances are similar.
Okay.
Can I say something, sir?
Yes.
Just one,
yes, sir.
Firstly, I love the poem. Mr. Vinay Pandey, sir, excellent poem. And your title was, too good. That's the title of the poem itself. And I like the way you drew a comparison between then and now. The manner in which you described it was really very good. Although, as one of the people mentioned here, with every generational change, things continue to change.
Right.
And we may not go back to that time, but then everybody has their own problems. But you are absolutely correct when we view it, because you are speaking as the previous generation. Ye kahan aa gaye hum. So the manner in which you have brought that out was too good. Thank you very much.
All right. So now moving on to the third poet for the evening, and maybe Sir's poem will answer all the questions that we've had in this small discussion that we just had. So next up we have Major General AJS Sandhu, Vindhya House, batch of 1962. And Sir's poem is on our alma mater, the Lawrence School Sana, and it is titled The Spirit of Sana. And Sir will be talking about what all we imbibe in the school. So the screen is all yours, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. Before I start my poem, I must say, Vindhya is doing very well. I'm the third Vindhya in line, because Mr. Pandey was also housemaster. And I don't know if next is Namrata, then I think she's also Vindhya. So
next up we have Himalaya.
But okay. Yeah, you're right. My mistake. Okay. So like you said, my poem is on Sanar, and one of the things got mentioned here, particularly by Amrita, about toughening and how those things help. Like we were, let's say, toughened by what all we went through. And so my poem is titled, as you said, The Spirit of Sanar. And I also, like Mr. Vinay Pandey, I'm an accidental poet. I was also introduced by Justice Rajiv Bhalla and Vinay Tulli, both. And Justice Rajiv Bhalla also told me, when I told him I can't write, he said, but you published a book. I said, there is research. And so he said, don't worry, you write exactly what he told him. You just put your thoughts and then he gave me an example. You imagine you are traveling from Gurgaon to Chandigarh, truck ja rahi hai, kya dekh rahe ho? Just keep putting that and that becomes a poem. But that I couldn't follow because I still cannot write prose. So my poems are all rhyme. And I rhyme for no reason. You know, rhyme and reason? I rhyme for no reason. But my poems are all rhyme. And this one is also rhyme. And this, actually, I was just thinking back, this is my fourth poem on Sanar. Starting with the Canons, which was my first. Then The Miracle at the Hilltop. Then that 1 week at the hilltop about that little girl who unfortunately died within 1 week of arrival in Sanar in 1890 something. And this is the fourth one, making it my fourth and of the Sanar quartet. Now, before I read the poem, I wrote something as a preamble to it, which will put my poem in context. And since I couldn't memorize it, I'll read it out. There is something about Sanar that makes it different from other schools. The quaint hilltop, the beautiful red roof buildings, chapel, barn hall, cenotaph, the two iconic cannons, the fun-filled dormitories, playing fields of barns and peastead, the mithai of Charlie Bootless, the tuck in the tuck shop, the old post office, Hudson's, Tilly's, the wonderful teachers and staff, and above all, the nature's beauty. All of these create a very conducive and enabling environment for nurturing young, impressionable minds. Then there are the fights and friendships, sports and treks, inter-house competitions, picnics, camps, and so on. All this, and this is the crux of it, all this keeps synthesizing. And that's my feeling. All this keeps synthesizing and entering our subconscious mind unknowingly, bit by bit. And when you finally leave the hilltop, it is this spirit of Sanar that you carry with you. In the sense, again, and within inverted commas, the soul of Sanar never leaves you. So my poem is titled The Spirit of Sanar. And by spirit, just to repeat, though I said it just now in a different context, I don't mean spirit as in school spirit and such like, but as in the soul of Sanar, that spirit. And I'm sure you will all agree with me that the soul of Sanar continues to dwell in all of us, even today. And just before I read out my poem, I would also like to thank Justice Rajiv Bhalla for the title of this poem. In one of our conversations, he used this phrase, Spirit of Sanar. In a longish conversation we had, in a different context, but I liked this phrase. And I decided that day that if I get a chance, I will try to write something. And today's lyrics are I wrote around this phrase. So the phrase came first, and what followed came later. And so credit goes to His Lordship. Thank you, Rajiv. Okay.
I think
poem is very short, and it is in rhyme. The spirit of Sanar cannot be described. The years spent on the hilltop, and so much imbibed. The Lord endowed the hilltop with an abundance of nature, and as years roll by, the children learn and grow in stature. The flora, fauna, the pine and deodar trees, the blueberry bushes, butterflies and bees. The academics, games, sports, teachers at all, create the enabling environment that makes a Sanarian stand tall. The inspiring school motto, never give in, which gives you the moorings through thick and thin. In the boxing ring, having been knocked to the ground, bleeding and in pain, you still stand up for another round. By climbing the formidable Mount Everest, the boys have proved that they can pass any daunting test. And the girls of Sanar are one of a kind, always in the forefront and never left behind. 5 of them are on my screen, lovely little 5 faces. So the girls of Sanar are one of a kind, always in the forefront and never left behind. They proved their worth by scaling the Kilimanjaro peak. By the grit and determination, they showed their winning streak. During the world wars, the girls were on the battlefield, nursing the sick and wounded until they healed. Now, those of you who have studied our history, you will know that in the good old days, pre-independence, most of our girls used to get into nursing. They were nursing, they were taught nursing in Sanar itself. So there are records of nurses who served in the battlefield hospital and also in convalescent soldiers back home, those who came back to England for this thing. And many of them got injured. And one of them, in fact, that story is not for today, when she was traveling from one place to the other in a submarine, some warship, that got shot. She's lucky she survived. And this was the second time it happened with her. Okay, during the world wars, the girls were on the battlefield nursing the sick and wounded until they healed. When you leave Sanar, its soul goes with you. In difficult times, it sees you through. As life goes on, it's the spirit of Sanar, which we breathe every day, that gives us strength to deal with the challenges that come our way. It's something like what Amrita was saying towards the end. And so this was my poem titled The Spirit of Sanar. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Very nice, Abdo. That really encapsulated everything about Sanar.
Yeah, and I loved the parts where you made history come alive as well, and tied the thread from yesteryear to now, and that's really nice.
Thank you.
Very nice. So very nice. Excellent. Enjoyed it.
With Kudrat's permission and with everyone's permission, I've written a very, very long poem on Sanar. But can I just give out the first stanza just to take it that way?
How many lines is that?
That's just I'll cut my missing short.
Stanza can be anything.
Justice Balla, I have never seen anybody questioning you like that ever.
There it goes. This is a reply to his essay. It's called The Hilltop Beckons. Okay?
Yeah.
All of 6, and you'll all relate to it. Holding my mother's hand tight. Alighted I did at the start of a journey that knows no end. Or does it? A train hissing steam and spewing smoke. The month March, the 60th year of the 20th. An iron trunk, a hold all, a black taxi. Rest of it I'll narrate next time.
Sure.
So the rest of it I'll narrate next time is also part of the poem, huh?
No.
That's a good one.
Just introducing the poem. So whenever we do the Sanar poem, which we always do on the Sanar Sanar that 15th
Foundation Day.
15th April.
15th April.
So ho gaya na, abhi 10 din ke baad hi to hai. So that part is done today.
Yeah.
So this is something of that sort.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else has any comment? Abdo sir's poem.
Very well written, sir. And one could relate to it completely. No, God.
Thanks a lot.
I think the charm of the campus. Sorry, go ahead, please.
Sorry, I think I was just saying that even without any explanation and the background, it stands on its own. I mean, probably you needn't have put any further meaning or applied more meaning to it.
I think what I was saying was the charm of the place is no matter who recites anything about the school, the moment you talk of the boxing ring or the Hodsons or anything, I think immediately everything becomes blank in front of you, and your mind goes back to the hilltop. As if you are in the Gaskell Hall and watching about.
Yeah, you're transcended.
Yes.
True.
Very good poem,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you.
Wonderful poem, sir.
Thank you.
Very nice poem, sir. Very nice poem.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
And about being very close to nature, that part is very true. I remember once we were playing, I think a football match or something on Barnes, and Barasingha came down from top.
Oh.
I never saw one in my time. We're lucky.
And that Barasingha was as puzzled as us. Then finally he saw the way out and he went down from the side. But it is there. Snar is very, very near to nature. I hope it's still like that.
Yeah, there are a lot of monkeys.
General Sandhu, lovely poem. What I identified with was a nature bit, because it's greener than ever now. Lots of trees have been planted over the last, I think, 40, 50 years. The best thing is we have flying squirrels, we have black partridges, we have red jungle fowl, we have Khalij pheasant, we had a lot of jackals, and they're very tame, but they're scared all the time. But we also have kakars. They're resident kakars with little ones and some rabbits. Very interesting. A lot of nature, a lot of lovely trees, a lot of lovely blossoms. In fact, if you come up today, you'd see the last of the spring, because it's still cold, so it's still there. And this entire thing about service, I think that's also very important. And serving, you spoke about nurses. That's, I think, very important, because people remember the boys and the men in war poetry, but very often you forget about, the nurses who actually, bring succor to the wounded and kind of serve, not only on the battlefield, but off as well. And so you're right. And I believe I've read somewhere that in our school hospital, the girls were trained to be nurses as well.
Yes.
And there was a teachers training college here as well. So it's so much of service over the years. Lovely poem, sir.
Thank you very much. And I'd just like to add one thing, that to add to what the headmaster sir just mentioned, because I was there just less than a month ago for reading that clip, Cannons of Sonar, that visual. And I can say, since this question came up just now, that the nature's beauty of Sonar is just the same, maybe better. I would say perhaps better. And
excuse me, can I interrupt a second? Maybe your eyes are dimmer.
Who are you talking about, me?
It looks better because maybe our eyes are dimmer.
Okay. Anyway, I don't know. I have a cataract, I have wear specs, so maybe mine are dim also, I can't say. But I can say two things. One, what I saw visually. The second is that what has been done now is so good that it is to make the children aware. We got aware on our own because we used to roam around the bushes, eating this, eating that, roaming around, going for treks, and all of us did whatever, or playing on the khud sites, all of us, boys, girls, everyone. But now what has happened is that a book has been brought out, The Trees of Sonar. This is a book which came out, I think, 2 years ago. It's a lovely book. I got a copy this time, so it's a very nice book, The Trees of Sonar. Otherwise, we only talk about pine or this or that, but there are so many more which I was not aware of. You can imagine how many there are if there is a book. The second and equally interesting is that they have been made aware of the birds of Sonar. Now, when you go walking, I mean, I saw it this time when I was walking from let's say from Barn Hall, from the Cannons. I'd gone there to take a photograph of the Cannons. So from the Cannons, when I was walking up towards Parker Hall, just that much portion, the trees that came on the way, they have put small, what should I say, posters, for lack of a word, describing a bird of Sonar by name, by a photograph, and Nietzsche a little write-up. So the best part is that a child who is there is getting interested or knowledgeable about nature in this form. It doesn't have to do anything. You don't have to read a book also. You just keep walking and watching. And last part, since this also came about nursing, I wonder how many people know that in the first batch of 7 girls, one of the girls became a nurse. She never left Sanar. She became a nurse, then she became a senior nurse, then she became head of nursing, then she became head of something, and she died there. So she came in 1847, 15th April, and almost 50 odd years she was there after that. So that was about nursing. So I was a little aware of all that, plus what I've read. So, and I agree that, we have the names of boys here and there, but the girls, I think there should be a separate chapter on that now. There's so much of things which were done then also, and now forget about everything else. We've had Olympians and all. So many girls have done well in life. Anyway, thank you. Sorry, we've gone far beyond my.
Yes, we have gone off on a tangent, but yeah, that's okay. A good discussion is always beneficial to add to our knowledge. Now, moving on to the 4th poet of the night, Amrita, Himalaya House, batch of 97. Now, Amrita will be presenting 2 poems to us. The English poem is titled The Invisible Mandala, and it talks about the experience of life. And Amrita's Hindi poem is titled Hari Pattiyan. Amrita, over to you.
Thank you, Kudrat. So just a brief before I start the poem. What inspired me with this one, which is the Invisible Mandala, is basically, I'm going through a little bit of a transition in life, and I think everyone goes through it. But I saw my 7-month-old nephew for the first time this time. And it made me think about life. I mean, in the sense of what was, what could be, what has been, and how my thought processes have changed every 10 years, every 5 years, and how I see life differently. So this is actually inspired from that also, and what I would like to leave and what I would like to see and explore when I'm looking at the child which my brother has now, right? So there's this connection which happens. In some ways, this is exploring that, but let me just read it out and you be the judge of that. So it's called The Invisible Mandala. The Invisible Mandala. Nestling against my many bold and innocent memories, a world far away, where people were simple and life in flow, all ice creams, hugs, walks, smiles, and dimples, to the place we call today. It is a journey. The limbs are sore, the heart exuberant and excited. The world grows in my head galore. Slow down, wisdom says. I won't. With it, I chide and play. Those dreams and aspirations, they ride me still. Childhood memory boxes, they breathe the fragrant, intoxicating air. And in this time, life lives the yesteryears now, with tomorrow not very far away, every single day. To those who ask why, there is no reason to comply. It is an inner momentum that runs its path. We tarry forward, complications eventually fade away, splitting our lives in halves. At a point when one questions what was and what will be, on that threshold, if it is our lives to be, let it be glad for its exuberance and held back for its limitations, I say. In this concoction, where body, mind, and heart for preference vie, living and being at best is the only way. I must try. That's my first one.
Very nice.
Very good, Amrita.
Thank you. Little
Very nice.
But
very nice.
This is very good, Amrita. Very good.
Thank you so
Excellent,
much.
excellent.
We will talk about your poems. I said once you've recited your Hindi one also.
Okay.
Then
Okay. All right. So the second one is called Hari Pattiyan. Now this is coming from a space where I've gone through some crazy things which happened. Of course, it's also on corporate life, and so I went through a certain kind of a medical condition because of toxicity of corporate life and the way things are. But having said that, I'm extremely resilient, and most people know me to be. But still, and these are things, only poetry can address. It's not something I felt you can put on any other forum, but a poem which can express it. And I thought using an analogy of the leaves, Hari Pattiyan, would be appropriate. You be the judge. Hari Pattiyan. तारों की रोशनी से बनती चिंगारियां, जिनकी हसरतों से बना डाली महामारियां. Again. तारों की रोशनी से बनती चिंगारियां, जिनकी हसरतों से बना डाली महामारियां. उठा उठा कर ढोते कोई और बुनते हैं सुनहरे अक्षर किसी और की कहानियां. पत्तियां जो देती थी छांव और सुकून, उनकी कटी पतझड़ में खुश है ये लोग. नहीं जानते हैं कि आ रही है सर्द हवाओं की वह बेरुखी आंधियां. कटे पेड़ों और संगमरमर के पत्थरों के ढेर में जीती हैं ये अजीब और गरीब जातियां. भगवान भी सोचता होगा, क्या बनाया मैंने कि नेत्र होने पर भी नहीं देख सकते हैं यह इस जहां की खूबसूरत वादियां. That's the Hari Pattiyan.
Short and sweet.
I think the last line was such a good slap in the face of so many things that are going on in our country these days.
You have netras, but you don't see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amrita, if this was a result of you being rusty, I wonder when.
Then in that case, may she rust even more, because she will produce even better poems.
I think that is what happens, right? Like when we are feeling a very intense emotion, that is when, the poem, the artwork, the painting, everything just comes out naturally.
But for me, what happens is when I'm pouring it out, it comes out in different expressions. I don't know which one is promoted. Whether it's art or writing, I have no idea. And that's what I wait for. It's not,
It's a trance.
Yeah.
It's a trance. So
when I knew, when I connected with Kudrat, I knew that I was going to write on this. And I had written the first 2 lines. And they were like, I knew it was that. And after that, I wrote the rest. But when I told Kudrat I was going to write that, and that was it. So the first 2 lines were basically about, the whole thing of looking at life in a way which is... So I deal with glamour and everything else. But the thing is, when you look at it, the base of it is always humanity. And if we forget that humanity, the world is not going to prosper any whichever ways. Everyone lives on in people. Yeah.
Amrita, you will find eventually that hardly anybody thinks of humanity.
But sir, the thing is, it's a simple, basic, practical fact. Corporates make their money if they have more people buying from them or doing services with them. The lesser people, the lesser profit there is. That means that the base is human, right?
Yes.
So, and you always go towards goodness. Then why do you make it toxic?
I don't know. See, basically, through 40 years, I worked for about 40 companies. Okay? And there's very little that you can tell me about companies that would surprise me.
Yeah, I know. And I've seen some crazy things, but I believe that you just need a change in understanding, and there is a better way. There is always a better way.
Yes, you're right.
Very rightly said.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Amrita.
And thanks for ending with a laugh.
Yeah, the laugh. Moving on to the next poet for the evening, the night rather, is Mr. Jatinder Singh Datta, Vindhya House, batch of 1970. Now, sir will be presenting a trilogy to us, and this is a trilogy that he read to Mr. Khushwant Singh at his place, and it will depict the rise of Rajiv Gandhi and those times, basically. So here I have Mr. Jatinder Singh Datta with his trilogy. Over to you, sir. Are you here? No. Where is he?
looking for Rajiv Gandhi.
Kudrat, he's put a message on the group. Just check.
Yeah, he says
meeting disrupted.
Yeah, so probably he hasn't got bandwidth at the moment or something.
Oh my God. All right, so we'll just move on to the next poet then.
Yes.
Yeah, we should, right? Next up is Mr. Himad Hillen, Vindhya House, batch of 1989, and also the current headmaster of our beloved school. And sir will be presenting a war poem to us. Over to you, sir. Okay, Mr. Datta is back. So, headmaster, sir, you'll have to wait.
You're asking the headmaster to wait?
Unheard of.
Sadly, yes.
Unheard of.
Sadly, yes.
What is the world coming to?
What is the world coming? Yeah,
ये कहाँ आ गए हम?
Oh God. Why is this? Yes, this is my turn. This is straight up.
Stop heckling
She's the
the
boss today.
Sutradhar.
Yeah, please stop heckling me.
Whatever
Come
she
on.
says, that
She
goes.
has to
And it's
decide. She
being
has to decide.
recorded.
I mean,
Yeah.
Just a gentle reminder that it's been recorded.
But where
She can always mute us.
is JPS?
He's here. He's here.
Yes.
He's
But-
hiding.
Why
Mr.
don't-
Datta, are you here with us?
Oh, he's
No,
gone.
I think he has some connection issue. So I would request Headmaster Sir again to please present his poem.
Thank you, ma'am, Kudrat. So here, sometimes you're all ready to take off, then you're told, right, back to the hangar. And then you come out of the hangar, so that's good. So you see, my understanding was that there were two themes, one of which was war. So I went for that. But then on introspection, is war good? That's my first question. Looking at Ukraine and Russia and what's happening all over the world, including in a lot of other hot zones and hot spots, I think war is not the answer. At the same time, if you look at our ethos as a school, right from 1847, it's pretty much martial. It was a Royal Military School at one time, right? Not just a military school, but a Royal Military School. Colors thrice. Any fighting unit that gets colors is a very proud unit, and this school got it thrice. Almost unheard of for schools. So it's very interesting. On the one hand, we're looking at enlightenment. On the other hand, we're looking at war. At the same time, many of us come from families who worn the uniform. So we've grown up very close to battles, war, but there are also values. That is what we must remember. And see, the point I'm trying to make is that war is never the answer. But if it's inevitable and there is a war, of course, it has to be fought. But the point, I'll make it very simple. Sacrifices have been made. That's the first thing. And it is actually very important that we remember those sacrifices, because those sacrifices were made so that we could live in peace in a free nation, right? So the short answer is war is not good, war is hell. But if war was fought, battles were won, courage was shown on the battlefield, we must acknowledge that and we must respect that. End of the day, respect is important. So I'll just share a few lines, and please bear with me, because at least 4 times a day, one does go past the war memorial, at least a dozen times, something to do with battle, chivalry, sacrifice, honor, integrity, values comes one's way. So we must respect those who have made sacrifices so that we may live in peace. We remember in the rising of the sun and in its going down. We will remember them in the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter. We will remember them in the opening of the buds and in the warmth of the summer. We will remember them in the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn. We will remember them in the beginning of the year and when it ends. We will remember them When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember them. When we are lost and sick of heart, we will remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for their memory is a part of us, and so we will remember them. Thank you.
Super. Very well.
Very
Excellent
well.
poem,
Thank
excellent
you.
words,
Very
and very
nice.
well narrated.
I
Very well
love the
narrated.
depth of that thought, the very depth of that thought. We all stand on the shoulders of previous generations, and we tend to forget it as we go away from it. Thank you, sir, for reminding us about that.
Very nice, headmaster. Very nice.
Thank you. I just lost signal. I don't know what happened.
No, you were clear.
No,
You came out very clear. We heard every word.
It was fantastic. It was lovely.
And it was fantastic, as somebody said just now. Your words were too good, and your narration was equally
very
solid.
clear.
Very clear. Very clear.
It
Very
was
clear.
done
Very
very
well
well.
enunciated. Very nice.
Very nice thoughts in that poem, which go into the in your poem.
True.
All right. Thank you, Headmaster sir.
Thank
Now, going back to Mr. Jatinder Singh Datta, sir, are you here with us? No?
Kudrat, can you type to him? Maybe.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. There's a little bit of lag, but we can hear you.
And am I visible also or no?
No. I mean, at least I cannot see you.
I can't either.
Nor can I.
I think if signals are an issue, keep your video off for some time.
Yes. So you can keep the video off. You can switch it off and you can continue with the poem.
We all have imaginations. We'll be able to see you, in our imagination.
Only thing I bought chicken, she brought all chicken and cooked it. Okay, where is it? When she comes in. When she coming in right here.
Am I audible in video?
It's an hour.
There's a lot of lag, sir. Like,
Not clear.
there's a lot of lag.
Yeah, you move on.
All right.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Go ahead.
moving on, the next poet for the night is Justice Rajiv Phalla, Nilgiri House, batch of 1970. And Sir will be presenting a poem on the futility of war, where the old send the young to their deaths, telling them that a hero's death shall be theirs. So over to you, sir. Another poem on war.
Futility of war. The futility of war.
Okay.
There's some problem here.
Sir, you have to unmute.
Yeah, now we can see you.
Thank you, Kudrat. But before I narrate the poem, it's an anti-war poem, but not an anti-soldier poem. I'd like to draw the distinction between the two. War is something everybody hates, but a soldier is somebody everybody respects. So it takes off from there. It's an anti-war, not an anti-soldier poem. So I just start with that. Glory, grit, and a hero's death, we were told, would be ours. Yes, true. But writhing in the mud, shell-shocked, blinded, searing pain, waiting. Fields flash past, dancing in their green robes, swaying in the breeze. I caress their robes, wet with dew, soon to be gold. But I shall meet a hero's death, I was told. Miss them I do as I lie immobile in someone else's field. Face upwards, unable to move. Gasping for air. But strange sounds escape my lips. Have I met death or is it my mind? I look around, the plants look familiar. Am I home? Their touch is soothing, wet with early morning dew or the blood of battle. I shall die a hero's death, I was told. What are these repeated bursts, or is it the submersible my father shall switch off soon? All of 21, a hero's death shall I meet, I was told. Garlands they shall place on my likeness, name a lane after me, for I killed 20 other 21 years old. A hero's death shall we all wait, shall we all meet, while the leaders sue for peace over our remains, ready to send 21 years old to a hero's death. A hero's death, we were told. That's all. That's my anti-war poem.
Very good, Rajiv.
Thank you so much, sir.
Very well said.
It was very good, and you were spot on.
No, and thought-provoking as Rajiv always is.
Yes.
Actually inspired more from All Quiet on the Western Front, if you watched it.
Yeah.
Yes, wonderful movie.
I have read the book also.
Yeah, so did I. Read the book. I read the first version. I saw the first version. They showed it in school, I think. It was a 1930 black and white movie originally.
Right. Eric Maria Remarque.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you for making it serious now. Sorry.
So next up, we have our very own prima donna, Vinay ma'am from. I'm sorry.
How about this Hindi poem? Rajiv's Hindi poem?
No. I had thought I'd add 50 words into this, but I deleted them because it was getting too dramatic. In Hindi, death and all becomes a little too gory and dramatic, actually. For me.
So
I thought, let's cut the dramatics out as much as possible. It's a poem, not a Hindi movie song.
I know.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So now I will introduce Vinay ma'am again. Next up is our very own prima donna, Ms. Vinay Thuli from Shivalik House, batch of 1962 or 3? 1961, I stand corrected. The title of ma'am's poem is Silken Threads, and it talks about how we allow ourselves to be caught in a web of love and need. Over to you, ma'am.
So after hearing everybody's poems, which are rather serious, general about life, battle, thoughts, remembrances, well, my poem is a little bit like an introspection, because we allow ourselves to be caught up in silken threads. And those silken threads are the ones which are woven around us with a lot of love. Nobody does it purposely, but somehow you get caught in a web. And that web is so tight, it cannot be broken. So this is my poem. Silken thread. Silken thread tied me up. Can we put on mute? I think somebody's not on mute.
Yeah, can everybody please just mute themselves?
Yeah. Okay, so silken threads tied me up. The pomp and pelf just tied me up. The more I tried, the tighter the knot. It was the love of the ephemeral web, gently spun, but like a maze. Was it a mirage? Could I break out? Heady like many goblets of wine, I was bound by loving threads of twine. Years passed by, no need to breathe. Then one day, a mirror I passed. My languorous eyes looked back at my face. My life had gone at another space. Only my fingertips had dared peep out. That silken web had protected me from everything that I had ever needed to be. I didn't need that protection. Why did I allow it? That's my point.
Very good.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Very thought-provoking.
That is beautiful.
Very nice, Vinay. Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you so
Very
much.
nice, ma'am.
So as I said, all of us allow ourselves to be woven into a web with love. Nobody is doing any zabardasti. But I think the individual you should always remain. Don't allow that to go away. Always have to do as the individual manifested in this world.
Yeah, that's what my therapist said to me.
There you are. There you are. You just come to me because you're the therapist.
You really did, and you've said it. You've sort of encapsulated the feeling of it so aptly in the poem. Like
So
nobody putting you there.
I can share an incident which I think is exactly what Vinay was talking about. Incidentally, I call everyone sir and ma'am, but with Vinay, it always seems like she's.
Yes, please do.
She's picking me up if I call her ma'am. So, but the thing is, like, so being around like your parents, your grandparents, I've lived with everyone, yeah. But somewhere when I reached 40, I had this crisis. I'm 39 years old, and I'm thinking, what am I? I am someone with someone and something with someone, but what am I on my own? I mean, I'm still like working on my own and everything. So I said, no, I need to shift out to a place where no one is there who I know. And that's what I did when I came to Bangalore. So I had to cut those silken threads to understand more of myself. And I mean, Vinay, thank you for putting this out there. Because
thank you. Thank you so much.
Sometimes it's not like love suffocates, but sometimes without intending to do so,
that's what I said.
Shortens people's lives, the spiritual, like your inner spirit, right? And I see, I see that connection, and I'm glad that it's not just a certain generation; it's like all over.
Oh, absolutely.
So thank you so much, ma'am. Now moving on to the last poet for the night, Namrata, Vindhya House, batch of 93. Namrata will be presenting, I think, 2 poems.
Yeah.
One is titled, it's about unfinished love, the journey from being incomplete to complete. And the other one is a philosophical take on life. And she'll be talking about, how if we all just build each other up, then we will realize that we are all the same, that we are all one. So over to you, Namrata.
Thank you. Thank you, Kudrat. What inspired me to write this poem was like, nature inspires us in many ways. A few of us have spoken about nature before in our poems, in the session only. So one evening while walking, I saw a crescent moon. And it just set me thinking, how some incomplete things lead us to completion. And as usual, I'm very bad at giving titles to my poems, so both are untitled. This is the Hindi one. आधा है चांद फलक में, जैसे रात आधी, कुछ अनकही बात आधी, रिश्तों की परतें कुरेदती बात आधी, किनारे को चूमती हुई लहर आधी, खिलते हुए फूल की पंखुड़ी आधी, कच्ची उम्र का वो प्यार आधा, जो तोड़ गया जन्मों साथ निभाने का वादा, किसी के दिल का अरमान आधा, क्यों हो ये जज्बात आधे, पूरे हैं हम, नहीं अधूरे हम, अधूरे रास्तों पर गुजर कर ना कोई गम. Thank you. And okay, since Kudrat has already described my English one, here it is. The world would be such a beautiful place if each one gave the other space to organically grow and evolve. Hatred and anger would dissolve. Speak no evil of the soul, nor think that the body is the whole. The mind plays a treacherous game. For our angst and despair, no one's to blame. This insatiable quest of material gain, every pleasure's got an edge of pain. If you fall for illusions, pause it on the frame, you can draw the conclusion that everyone is the same. Thank you.
Very good, Namrata.
Thank you, sir.
Lovely.
Very good.
Both of them, very good points.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
In fact, your first song took me back to that song, Aadha Hai Chandrama Raat Aadhi.
That's what my husband also told me.
Sir, can I just 1 second? I'll add here. I was also going to say something similar, but I was going to take you back to my famous place. I mean, half an hour. In 1961, we had, when I may remember, we had a camp where we all used to go. A place between Kandaghat and Solan, Niche, that point.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a campfire or something. Every night we used to meet at that time. And that night, one of the girls, whoever could sing was told to sing. And there was this girl, you will remember the name also, I think from Sonali only, Sonali Moitra.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Sonali Moitra was my classmate.
There you are.
Oh, yes.
She, of course, and a very pretty one. That's why I remember. That's why he quickly jumped into it. She sang this song, Aadha hai Chandrama Raat Aadhi, Rehna Jaye Teri Meri Baat Aadhi, Hamari Mulaqat Aadhi. This I remember still. Dekho kitne saal ho gaye. And I remember it more for the song and not for her face. So,
I remember, it's on the other way with me. I remember her face. She used to sit behind me in class and keep teasing me.
And Rajan, you're a lucky man, yeah.
And then
I'm a lucky man.
I just want to add that we could have a chitter chatter. I mean, we are recording this session. So
there's one thing I want to say with
I probably would edit it if
yeah.
it's okay with it.
That would be a lot of editing.
If there's going to be chitter chatter, then we should stop it.
So 1 second, sir.
Stop the recording.
Yeah.
No. 1 second. Mr. Datta, are you with us?
Never give up.
Asking again.
Hello.
Yes, so we can hear you now.
JPS,
but you can't see. Can you see?
No, sir, that is... No, he left.
Okay, sir, we want to hear the poem.
No, he left again. There's something wrong with the connection.
We'll tell him to put it up on the group.
Probably that, yeah.
Yeah.
JPS?
Yeah.
Just put up the poem in the group. You can tape record it or you can put it in, write it and send it.
Yeah, something like that.
And we'll start the next thing with that recitation.
So I'll text him this, sir. I'll text him this.
Yeah. I think Sudrat also had a poem which she won.
Oh, yes. I dished out. So as you all must have noticed throughout the session, that, I kept some poems at the beginning, which were about childhood, and Mr. Vinay Pandey was reciting Ye Kahan Aa Gaye Hum. Then AJS sir had to add, okay, yeah, let's talk about the spirit of Sana. And then we gradually, sort of poems which were about life and everything. Then we ended with love, and with Namrata's poems, of course, unfinished love, and being incomplete to complete. So I picked up this poem. It's by William Butler Yeats, and it's titled "He Wishes for the Cloths of Heaven." It's a very short poem, just 8 lines. And the short poem was written for a woman that he loved for many years, but he could never marry her, although he asked her on several occasions. And Yeats once commented in a lecture that another one of his poems, titled "The Cap and Bells," was the way to win a woman, and I will not be reciting that, while "He Wishes for the Cloths of Heaven" was the way to lose a woman. And I'll be reciting this one. So here it goes. Had I the heavens embroidered cloths, and wrought with golden and silver light, the blue and the dim and the dark cloths of night and light and the half-light, I would spread the cloths under your feet. But I, being poor, have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly, because you tread on my dreams. Thank you. Very sad poem.
But a very nice book.
Very nice book. Yeah.
Really
Yes.
How to lose a woman. This is the way. Tell her that you're poor and you only have dreams to spread under her feet.
Well,
there's
that is
different kinds of poor.
materialistic women.
There's different kinds of poor.
Yes.
Yeah. Poor.
And there are different kind of women also.
And there is the character poor. There is the bad judgment poor. There are many kinds.
Many kinds of poor.
Yeah.
Can I make a small suggestion?
Please do.
We've all been writing poetry. Can we have one session where each one recites a favorite poem of a different poet?
Yeah.
But
But
Rajiv,
to keep it short, keep it their short poems.
So thank you everyone for being wonderful poets and of course wonderful members of the audience as well. And we can hereby declare this session as closed or over, complete. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kudrat.
Stop recording.
Thank you, Kutul. Good job done.